Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, depending on what time you are joining this or what time you are rewatching this. By way of introduction, my name is Elizabeth Quetti. I am the workplace lawyer. I am a lawyer that has practice in employment litigation representing employees. I've also worked in house counsel with a very large organization for about 7 years. And I have also done a lot of work in consulting and supporting organizations to ensure that they are mitigating risk within organizations. In addition to that, I am a three-time certified workplace coach, and I'm very proud of that. And that supports me in coaching you and coaching other individuals, particularly those who are underrepresented in corporate America as it relates to how they show up in the workspace. So, one of the things that I want to talk to you all about today, which is a very important conversation. I don't think we talk about it enough, is not holding your coworkers in your heart. This is important because as someone who regularly speaks to people who are either currently in corporate America or are looking to exit corporate America, a lot of the experiences that they raise and a lot of the questions and concerns that they bring up surround some of the pains that they have experienced at the hands of an individuals, or systems in place. So, what I want to talk to you all about specifically today is three individuals that you should forgive in order to move forward so that you can excel in your corporate 9 to 5. If you are not in a corporate 9 to 5 and you're very young and you plan on growing your career in a different way, this message still applies to you, because the truth of the matter is that we all could use this message. Okay, so number one, do not carry your coworkers in your heart. What you want to do, if your coworker has done you wrong, you want to take a step back before you begin to attack or to assault or to insult this individual. You want to take a step back. You want to ask yourself a couple of questions. One question you should be asking yourself is, Hi, Mochita Lita. Beautiful name, by the way. Thank you for joining live. One of the questions that you want to ask yourself is, how did we get to this situation? It is very rare that a person comes out of pocket with an individual just because. It is very rare that someone starts to behave. Hey, Mika. Hey, Mika. It's very rare that someone behaves in a way with you as if they can just do what they want to do. There's some sort of signal in place. There's something that happened. There's some sort of occurrence that has resulted in the person being comfortable enough to speak to you in that way, treat you that way, etc. Now, there are some situations where someone will absolutely come out of pocket and say what they want to say and behave in the way that they want to behave. And we don't like that, right? We don't like that. But we need to take a step back and just see if there's anything that we did in order to green light certain behaviors in the past. Again, people do not become hardened criminals overnight, right? Sometimes it starts with petty crimes. The same thing exists in the workplace. People do not become individuals who are really good at insulting or assaulting or looking for a way to tear you down. It starts off often with little things. So, what I like to tell people is to take a step back, ask yourself a couple of questions, and really try to assess what happened, or was there anything that I did that made it seem like it was okay for this individual to talk to me this way, to handle me in this way, and to treat me as if the behavior was okay. So that's the first question that you need to ask yourself. The second thing that you need to do is recognize that even if you answer yes or no, you need to forgive your coworker. I know your coworker got on your nerves. I know your coworker it said some stuff about you. I know your coworker baited you to get you to come out of pocket with them as well. You need to forgive your coworker. Do not carry these people in your heart, because when you carry these people in your heart, what it does is it hardens you, not only for the work that you may be called to do in that specific season of your life, but for the future. So think about it like this: your future self will not benefit from your current self becoming hardened and becoming so disagreeable with the season that you're in and so disagreeable with the place that you are currently in. I get it. Corporate America is something else. I completely understand. However, what you want to do is you want to take a moment and say to yourself, I am not going to carry this person. I deserve better than this. I'm not going to, my current self deserves better. My future self deserves better. I refuse to carry this person. And I need you to do a couple of things. If you are not in therapy, look for a therapist. If you are not open to going to therapy right now and you are of a particular faith, lean into your faith. If you are a person who is not necessarily of a particular faith, then lean into your community. Pick up the phone, call a friend, reach out to a family member, and talk to them about what you've experienced. If you don't like to verbally process what you've experienced, then what you should do is you should process in writing. Grab a notebook and start jotting it down, because you'll find that as you are writing down what you've experienced, you're going to start to have a number of reality checks as it relates to what you experienced, whether or not the behavior was you had something to do with it, as far as accountability is concerned. A lot of people don't like that word, but as far as accountability is concerned, and you want to do this before you get to the point of this weighing so heavily on your shoulders, weighing on your heart, and more importantly, weighing on your ability to protect yourself legally in the future. Okay, so forgive your coworkers. The second group that I want you to consider forgiving, which is not actually a person, it's actually the job itself. So when I speak of the job, what I would need you to realize is that the job is not simply the four walls of the company. The job is a mixture of the people and the systems in the company. We've just addressed people as far as the coworker is concerned. What we need to do is address the job itself. Forgive the job for not having good systems in place. Forgive the job for not being able to support you in the way that you deserved or the way that you've earned. Forgive the job for failing to actually hear you out and respect your experience and what you've shared. If you're an individual who has actually gone forward and shared this with higher ups, your manager, or to HR, for example. Forgive the job for not having good policies that would protect an individual, regardless of your racial background, regardless of your gender background, regardless of how you've walked through life. Forgive the job for failing to have the procedures in place that would actually support the right behaviors in the first place. Forgive the job for creating such a culture and such an environment that when you walked in, you were hit with a bomb before you even knew the bomb existed, right? So you have to forgive the job itself. Does that mean that you should stay in the job? No, absolutely not. If you find that your time is up, if you find that you've done what you needed to do, you've grown in the way that you've needed to grow, or you are at the point where you can no longer accept and tolerate mentally or emotionally or even spiritually some of the behaviors that's happening to you on a regular basis. If you find that you absolutely need to just call it quits, then so be it. I know what that feels like. It doesn't feel good when your back is up against the wall and you say to yourself, I am really looking to just push through this because I have my bills to take care of, I have my family to take care of, and I just need to put my head down and do the work. That doesn't work as well anymore. It used to work for those of us who know what the workforce was like in the 90s. Okay, for those of us born in the 1900s, that used to work. We had the ability to put our head down and just get through it. But because we are overly exposed to too many things these days, we have the news regularly, we have our phones in our hands, we have nonstop input constantly through social media, through conversations, through just driving in our car, through the radio, etc. Because we have so many different forms of input, that impacts our ability to just turn the radio off, turn the TV off, or simply just drive peacefully listening to some classical music. It impacts our ability. We get to the stop sign or we get to the four-way stop and the light is red. You know that you have all of 90 seconds. What do? You pick up your phone and you immediately go to Facebook Facebook or Instagram or Threads or YouTube or whatever it is. And while you are doing it for entertainment, the implications and the impact to you is that you have what? Yet more inputs coming in. That impacts your ability to continue to manage how you are adjusting to the workforce, especially if the workforce that you're in is not necessarily supportive of you from a mental or an emotional state. So, why do I say all that? I say all that to say you need to forgive the job. Holding on to the job is never going to put you in a position of strength. Holding on to anger towards the company for the lack thereof is not going to support you. As I mentioned previously, it's not going to support you now, and it's definitely not going to support you in the future. And more importantly, by forgiving the job, you are going to be more open and aware of some of the behaviors and some of the things that you have seen that you will never tolerate again in your life. You will be able to spot it a mile away. I'll give you an example. I had a manager some jobs ago. I had a manager who was not in the most healthiest headspace. I now see that. I didn't see it then when I was in the thick of it. I didn't see it then, but I now recognize she was not in the most emotional or mental healthy space. That said, when things started to kind of go awry with the team, not just with me, but with the team, what I began to notice is that I have to find a way to walk out of this job with my integrity, number one, and walk out of this job in a way that will allow me to be successful for the future. When I decided to leave the job, I recognized that in many ways I was upset, not just at this individual, but I was also upset at the company itself. I was upset with the job. I was upset with the fact that they did not hear me, that they did not support me, that even though I waved the flag and I asked for help and I for months have been waving the flag and I said, you know what, something's got to give. This is not right. Despite the fact that I did all those things and things didn't work out, I held that. I held that in my heart. And I tell you, resentment is a heavy burden to carry. It is like a backpack full of bricks. It is a heavy burden to carry. So if you find that you are wrestling with leaving a past job where it is in the past, chances are that you have not forgiven the job itself for something, forgiven them for the good work that you did and the fact that they didn't recognize it. You have not forgiven them for the fact that they didn't actually come up with a system so that you could anonymously report. Although that's a very specific example, that's a very real example. You have probably not forgiven them for you building and doing all of this great work, and then they take your work and shred it apart, or they take your work, they give it to somebody else, which happens all the time, or they take your work and they push you out of the company after you've done amazing work. You have to forgive the job, because if you don't forgive the job, it is not going to work out well for you now or in the future. Okay. And finally, the last person that you need to forgive is yourself. So if you've worked a corporate job and you look back and you recognize that you should have left earlier, that there were some conversations that you got yourself into, or some agreements that you've agreed to that you recognize looking back that it puts you in a pickle. You have to forgive yourself. You have to release those coworkers, including the managers and higher ups. You got to release those coworkers, release the job, and release yourself in the freedom of your own forgiveness. If you do not, even if you decide, say, for example, to bring a lawsuit and you say, you know what, I want someone to represent me in court. I want this person to go and I want this lawyer to go and fight my case on principle and principle alone. And I want to make sure that regardless of what happens, that they know who I am and who I'm not. And I'm not the ones or the twos, right? We like to say that. I'm not the one or the two, and I'm not go play with somebody else. So even if you end up hiring a lawyer, and let's say you're successful in your lawsuit, you get a big settlement, you walk out of court, you have additional money to the tune of $95,000. You have this money, you feel vindicated in the moment. The moment of vindication is temporary. You are going to find yourself asking later on, why do I still feel upset? Why do I still feel tried? Why do I still feel harmed in some way? The law is designed in many ways to provide some type of legal support. And when it comes to employment laws, very specifically, the goal is to do what? To ensure that we are providing some sort of restitution, some sort of coming together, some sort of bridge to individuals who have been harmed in the workplace. That's one of the reasons why the law exists. But if you have found that, yes, you have been provided that restitution, yes, you have been supported, yes, the law was on your side, yes, you have received money, and you still find yourself angry and bitter and just upset, the money has not done what you thought the money was going to do. Yes, we love a good check, let's be clear, but the money has not done what you thought the money would do. You are now in a situation where you have gotten your check, you have exhausted all your possible legal avenues that you can explore. You have left the job. They are in your dust. They've done what they needed to do, and you've done what you needed to do. But you found that despite all those things that have happened, you're still upset. You found that you are still aggravated. You find yourself still tossing and turning and feeling upset. You find yourself in your body, still experiencing a nervous system that is just overstimulated at the thought of this company. Whenever you think about your former coworkers or your former manager or someone that you had to work with, your stomach churns. If that is the case, something is not right here. You need to find exercises that will support your ability to free yourself from these individuals and to free yourself from the prison of unforgiveness and resentment towards these individuals. And I'm not just telling you this as somebody who has seen it from afar. I have been tried by many of managers. I've been tried by many of managers for no reason because personally I'm quite brilliant and I do excellent work. Thank you very much. So, and yes, I did say thank you. Thank you very much. So, that being said, as somebody who has had that as a lived reality, what I want to encourage you to do today is to really step back and assess. I'm always encouraging people to assess because when you take a moment to be intentional and assess, you'll find some really good information coming up. So, what I want you to do is take a step back and really assess what is going on with you that is causing you to churn your stomach to churn every single time you think about this job, or causing you to carry this weight, or your shoulders feel very tight and very heavy, et cetera, et cetera. What is going on with you that is not supporting you mentally, health wise, emotionally, spiritually, and anywhere in between? In order for us to grow vocationally, we don't just want to know whether or not rights have been violated and we want to be able to go and attack based on the fact that said rights have been violated. What we want to do is recognize that yes, there could have been some behaviors that were out of pocket. Yes, there could have been a way that they could have handled me a little bit better. And not only am I going to take care of myself to support myself right now, but I'm also going to ensure that I have the right steps in place, the right exercises, the ability to do certain things in order to win at my next job, at my next venture, with a new set of clients, in my next season, relationally. Because at the end of the day, when you think about the workplace is simply relationships with each other, going towards a common goal, hopefully going towards a common goal where you are building towards a product, a business, a service, something you're building towards it. We all should have the same goal when we all are in the same building. That said, because we are still dealing with one another and workplace is just simply a different type of relationship, we have to be very intentional not to carry our coworkers in our hearts. So, what I want you to do is take a step back. I want you to assess what has happened and what is currently going on. And then I want you to actively and say out loud, I forgive my coworker. I forgive my coworker for lying on me. I forgive my manager for believing the lie. I forgive my coworker for stealing my work. I forgive my coworker for the fact that he or she never gave me the right credit. I forgive my coworker for gossiping about me when I've done nothing wrong towards these people. I forgive my coworker for intentionally making my life difficult. I forgive this job. I forgive my job for failing to have the right systems in place. I forgive my job for not having competent human resource officers in the place to support individuals like me. I forgive the job for having me work and churn and not recognizing that I should have been promoted. I forgive the job for not doing right by me based on the fact that I have put my time and energy into the company. And lastly, I forgive myself for overstaying at this company. I forgive myself for not speaking up sooner. I forgive myself based on the fact that I know that I deserved better and I didn't do anything about it. I forgive myself for giving so much of myself and not requiring something at least equal back from the job. I forgive myself for not negotiating well. I forgive myself for learning that I was deeply underpaid and not saying anything about it. I forgive myself for not advocating in a way that I should have advocated that would have brought me to a higher level from a behavioral perspective. I forgive myself for making it seem like it was okay when it was not. Okay? So, with that being said, again, my name is Elizabeth. I'm the workplace lawyer. My goal is always to support an environment where you can thrive and you can win, and that everybody can come and get some, right? So that we can win and grow our careers in the workplace. If you have not followed any of my videos, please check out my videos. Please give me a thumbs up on this video and subscribe to my channel. I do my best to go live every single day, especially in the month of March that we're in right now. If you would like any of this in written form, please check out my website, which is just my name, elizabethgueti.com, Goueti. I will go ahead and drop it here, elizabethgueti.com. And if you are an individual that is looking to gain support from a coaching one-on-one perspective, please drop me a line. I am launching a new coaching group at the end of April, beginning of May, where we are getting together who are women and who are Black or brown, coming together to support one another as we continue to flex our courage muscles and build our careers. So I hope this live was helpful to you. Please share this live with someone who needs to stop talking about work. Please share this live with someone who can't let go of the fact that they tried him or her. Please share this live with someone who absolutely needs to hear this message, okay? And I will catch you all on tomorrow, and we're gonna go a little bit deeper on how to deal with a very annoying manager if you have one. Take care, everyone. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.